Hey, welcome back, ladies and gentlemen. So let's continue with the Pages plugin with our final feature, which is deleting old images. All right, so I'm just going to log in here a bit. Let's put our password there. That way we can go to our admin section and go to the Pages. And there we go. So what we need now is to be able to delete pages. So let's check out our, let's edit our About Us page, because this is the one with some images. So as you can see, we have these 3 images here. Now what would happen is if I click here, because certain times you want to edit your page, you click and delete some of these images and then add new images and so on and so forth. Okay. So what we need to do is to be able to compare the old content with the new content. And then once we compare the two, we see which images can be found on which, if they're in the content, then we are good. If not, then we delete those images. So sounds simple enough. So let me go ahead inside plugins, plugins folder, and let me go to basic pages, and let's go to the controller. Okay, so what we're going to do is edit this model here. We have this model page, or is it content? That's what it is. Now content has a couple of functions for now. There's extract images and add root to images, right? And then there's also remove root. Now, what we want to duplicate is this one, the extract images, because we kind of know how to extract images from content, but now we want to loop through and see what images are in the old but are not in the new, and then we delete those. So I'm going to select this, Ctrl-Shift-D. In other text editors, it's just Ctrl-D to duplicate. So there we go. And I am duplicating. So this is our new function, and this one we're just gonna call delete. Maybe it needs to make more sense. Delete unused images, something like this. Delete unused images. Now you can obviously name these functions whatever you want. That's up to you. So we need another. So first of all, here we'll put old content like that, and here we'll put new content. Okay, so we need to supply both in this situation. That way we can make a comparison. So we expect that there will be old content here and new content over here. So this should happen before we save to the database, so that actually it can happen even after, so not a big deal. So we reuse some of this code. Here it's old content, right? So every single instance of content here should be old content. So what I'm going to do is, now here we're not returning any values at all. So this one is just going to be, maybe instead of a string, this is null, because we're not returning anything. This is just for the purposes of deleting. Now you could return a value if you want to be able to know whether you deleted some images or not, or you could return an array of the deleted images and stuff, depending on your situation and what you want to achieve. So every instance of content here should change to old content. Let me select with the $sign there, and then I can paste. Now let me start with the $sign and paste. Okay, so that's old content, right? In the old content, we grab all the images in there. So we are doing exactly the same thing. And here we have image tags, and here we have the source. So the only way we can know which image is which is by checking the source. So the source have to match for us to know that this is the exact same file. So in this situation here, what's going on? Okay, so we have the image tag, we have the source match here, and then finally the source match is here. Now in this situation, you have to keep in mind that the old content doesn't have base 64. This is usually just links to images. So if here we have this source and it has part of this whole thing, let's see here. Now this we have to keep in mind that the old content does not have HTTP. Yeah, it doesn't have that part, so we have to make a comparison after we remove root from all images, right? This should be like the last step before we save. And so we assume that root is not there at this point, so we can make a better comparison. So all of this stuff here is not needed. Let me move up to here maybe. Let's see. I'm trying to figure out what's going on here. Okay, there we go. Delete that. So that's the source file here. So all I have to do now is check if this source 0 content can be found in new content. So in new content, we assume that at this point the images have been extracted, the base 64 images are extracted, the HTTP path has been removed. So this is like the base path. So let's do this. Path is equal to. Now at this point, keep in mind that when we are doing the match, we are getting the source is equal to as well. So it's okay if you want to leave that in. I think it's fine actually. You can leave that in, or you can remove it. That's up to you. You can do a string replace for that, so you can compare a clean version of things. All right, so that's the image source. So what we do now is we do a string. That's how you match strings, is a string within a string. So the haystack, excuse me, is new content. The needle is the path. So we want to check to see if those images were found. And yeah, let's see, string. So let's put an if statement and let's go this way. Now this is a loop, right? So we're going to loop here several times, and I want to see how many of these things I actually find. This will be the only way to know. Actually, if HTTP exists, let's see, do we need to undo this here? I don't think we need to. This is fine. We can remove this because we need to make all kinds of comparisons here. We're not going to discriminate any images. Okay, so if we do find it, let me just do an echo and say found, like that. I just want to know if it's working or not. And then let's do path, like so. All right. And then let me connect a break tag here because I want to just see what's going to happen here. And then by the end of this, I just want to exit the process altogether. So found blah 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 blah. Okay, cool. So for now, let's see what that leads us to. Now we're going to need the console here because that's where we see all the results. So with this, I need to see all three images have been found if things go as planned. So let me copy this and excuse me here. Let's go to our controller. So this is only happening in the edit controller. So we have at this point where we remove the roots. That's good. And then let's duplicate that. Now I'm going to paste this, delete unused images, right? Oh, and by the way, since we are not returning anything, we shouldn't equate content to this at all. Here we are not editing the content itself, we are simply checking what's missing. So we don't need to return anything. Now, this is the new content, right? So in the function, we are starting with old content. That's the first. So at this point, we can say, let's see here. Yeah, so the old content will come from the row that we got, because normally we extract the row in order to check what's in the old to make sure it exists even. So once we get that row, if not empty, that's where we get the row ID, blah, blah, blah. So at this point, the old is from row content, like that. And then the new content is the one that the user has posted. Okay, so at this point things will exit because we have die at the other side. So let's see what will happen. So let's go ahead and click save. Okay, so we have a few issues here. I don't know why it's here saying prog is no. I guess I didn't think about this, but this is a JavaScript error, so let's ignore that. Let's just look at what we found over here. So in here it's just saying it found this one, source plugin. Oh, it found another one. That's great. And one more here. That's great. So it found all three images, which is cool, right? Now let's test what happens if we delete some of these images. So this is just, we're not going to save this because this is not going to be saved, but let's delete one of the images here. So I'm going to delete that one. So this time we should find like 2 answers. So let me hit save. Okay. Okay, and as you can see, found, there's this one source here, and there's second one here, and that's it. So the other one isn't found, and that's actually true. All right. So we are getting there. Now, what if all of them are deleted? Let's delete this one and delete this one. And then we add completely new images, right? Then in that situation, none will be found. Let's try that. So let me just hit save here. And let's go down, and you see it's an empty string. So none of them were found. So which means all 3 should have been deleted at this point. So it seems to be working as intended. So let's go back to the content.php here. So when something is found, we don't really care. All we want to do is do something when it isn't found. So let's put a not exclamation point there to make sure we reverse whatever we are doing here. So when it's not found, that's when we show something. So here, if I hit save again, let me empty the console. If I hit save, it should show me all 3 because now none of them are found. So all 3 are showing here, which means they would be deleted. So in here, we delete that content. And before we go ahead and do some more, we need to know exactly the path. So if you look at the result here, it's got source in it. So there's source is equal to, and then plugins, blah, blah, blah. I just want the actual path so I can actually tell it to delete that. So here, let's just do string replace. Over here, what we are searching for is, let me use single quotes because I'm searching for a double quote in there. And then I'm going to replace that with emptiness. Like I've said in a previous video, if you're not, there's no process, you don't need to process any information in there. Better to use single quotes. Always use single quotes. Unless your variables in the string, then you use double quotes. So because double quotes take longer to process, so you're saving milliseconds by using single quotes instead of double quotes. So here, path is equal to string replace from there, there, there. Okay, so I just want to see if the paths now have no source is equal to. So let me hit save again, and there it is. Now it's found plugins, blah blah blah. That's good. So which means I can tell it to delete those now. So in here, all we have to do is unlink a file. Now it's always a good idea to check if the file exists, even if you are sure it will exist at this point. It's just better to have no errors at all. So if file exists path, then you can say unlink that path, and that's how you delete your images. Cool. And then now we can remove the die here, and that will solve our problem. So with all that, now this completes the image processing situation here. Okay, so you have to try and test this and see what situations work and what doesn't work, etc, etc. Now for now, I just want to refresh this. So I want to replace just one image, this one right here in the center. Instead of this building, I'm going to delete that. Now also, let's go to uploads in this same folder and see these are the 3 images we have. So this one is still there, even though we've deleted it there. I want to see after processing if this low angle image will remain or it will delete it. So let me select here and add a new image. So I'm going to add a picture here. Let's go ahead and add one with I think, to make it very obvious, let's just add a photo like something different, maybe a person instead of a building. So let's go ahead and add this guy there. Let me put it at 25%. Okay, so that's the new situation we have, and let me hit save. Okay, record saved successfully. That is cool. And now if I click edit to see, I should see exactly what I put in there. That's good. But let's look at the actual files now. We see there's still 3 files in here, sorry, and the one that we deleted is no longer there. It has been replaced. So everything is working as intended, which is awesome. Okay, so this is cool. It means everything is good. The only thing remaining is we haven't added categories here yet, so we need to create a plugin for that as well to fix things in that direction. But since we are done with our pages now, this should be the last video in pages. Let's see how actually we can create pages on a website. So let's do some practical stuff and see if it holds up. So what was I trying to do here? Basic pages. I'm looking for the plugin.php file. Okay, so plugin route, plugin. Okay, that is good. Why am I not using this? Oh, okay, this is for the admin section, right? All right, so that is cool. So what I want to do now is go back and see. Yeah, so let's go back to the main website here. So we do have pages like About Us. Oh, which is the one we just edited, right? There we go. And then Contact Us, right? There it is. And like I said, these pages have this image at the top here. We should put a way to remove this, because certain times you don't want this thing on your site. So what we're going to do is let's edit our table. So I'm going to PHP my admin here, and inside pages here, if I go to the structure, let's go to the structure. Oh, by the way, let's go to browse here. I see that when I created the pages, the user ID is null. It's empty. So we need to fill that in, and the date, oh, deleted, that's fine. Created, updated, that's fine. This one has not been updated, so nothing. That's cool. So user ID isn't being supplied here. So let's just make sure that is happening. This should happen in the add controller. So let me make sure here we are adding that. And a way to get the current user's ID, if you remember very well, if I go to app and I go to models, and there is the session model, which contains the information about the currently logged in user. There's a function in here called user, and there it is. So this returns whatever column you want from the currently logged in user, whether it's the ID, the email address, and so on. So let's use that. And we know session is working in here. Did we am I using session here anywhere? Probably not. So let's go to plugin.php, the actual, wait, what is this? Okay, summer node migration. I don't know what this file is in here. What's this folder? I keep forgetting some stuff in here. Okay, so what I'm looking for is plugin.php. There we go. So I want to see what in the controller, what models I actually, okay, so session is actually evoked already. So that's good. So let's go to the add controller. And in here, let's see, right about here, right here where we are doing this, let's just use user ID here, and what we will use is session and the user function, and then we supply the key we want, and that's the ID, like that. As simple as that. Now if we create a new page, it will show which user actually created that. Okay, so that's one bird down. Now if I go to the structure of the pages table, I need to know to add one more column to say show featured image or display featured image. So let me click to add a new column. So you can call the column anything you want. The more descriptive, the better for the future. So display featured image. So some of these columns can get pretty long, so this one is just a single yes or no, so we can use tinyInt with a length of 1. That way we can save either a 0 or a 1 for yes or no. That's how we limit the amount of data being stored on the database. So we put a default value as 0 to start with. So 0 is display featured image will be 0, which means no. So maybe let's put the default as 1, like by default it should show the featured image unless otherwise specified. So default value is 1. Let's save that. Okay, so we won't ever need to search using this this column, so there's no need to add an index there. Let's leave it be. So now if I go back to my preview situation here, let's see. Okay, so on this one, let's go to the front end first. So in the basic plugins here, let's go views and let's go front end view. So at this point, there's content, right? And then there's what's this? Oh, and I forgot we need to sanitize the content as well here if need be. So the way we can do that is when the user clicks save, let me go to the add here. So we need to sanitize the content. Now, a way to sanitize usually in this situation is to remove any script tags. So script tags will be removed. They are actually already sanitized, but we need to make sure that they do not work. Anyway, I'm getting sidetracked here a little bit. So let's go back to what we're doing. So it's this image here I'm talking about, this one here. So we can put an if statement here. Very simple. Let's just do this. PHP if we say row display featured image, like that. Okay. So if we don't need to say is equal to 1 or is equal to 0, just by saying if like this, it only works if this is equal to 1 and not 0. So that's like saying if true. So let's say and if here, and let me move things over like so. Okay, so just like that, we are in good company here. The featured image is not showing anymore if it doesn't need to. Now on the admin side, maybe it's okay to leave the image showing all the time, but here we can change it. It's up to you what you want to decide to do. Maybe you want the user to be able to see on the admin side as well how it looks without the image. So let's go to view, and it's right about here as well. Boom. And then let's put that and if, like that. Okay, cool. So let's test it out. Okay, so we're going to go to the admin on contact us. We don't want that. So pages. Now we need a way to actually set it. So I'm going to go to the edit. It's in contact us, edit here, and we need a drop down here for yes or no, right? So let's create that real quick. So what I'm going to do is on the edit.php, just before the page content, I will add one more thing here. And where is that? Page content is right here. I will add a select over here. Let's add some classes. Some bootstrap classes. So the label is going to be, let me grab that label. I think I should probably have put these inside this. It seems. Yeah, no, inside this actually. Let me do this. Move this guy over. It's an art form here trying to figure out what to put where. So let me copy that and let's put that there. The label here is display featured image, like so. Okay, so we just have yes or no, but we need to put actual values here. We should have one or the other. So no is 0 and yes is 1, like that. But then we also need to know which one of these is set in the edit, just like we have this old value, but instead we'll have old select. So we put it on both, like that. Oops, space, then put it there. So the name here is display featured image, quite long. That's the column name. And then with select, what we need is after the comma, we put the required value and then comma again. So either 0 or 1 here. So the one with 1, we put a 1, the other one is 0. Okay, they need to tick whichever is correct. And just like that, if I refresh now, we should get display featured image, and then you can select one of the two. So if I say no on this one, now you have to remember that every time you add a column in the database, you have to do stuff to your, let's say, migration files. First of all, the models. So let's go to page. It has to be on this list in order for the thing to be able to save. So let's say display featured image. That way it can be saved too. And also this is for adding, this is for editing, so we should add it there as well. Okay, cool. And then the second thing is, don't forget your migration files, because when you do decide to use them in future, you find that your tables are different to what the final result was. So it's always better to update them as well. So let me copy that migration file, and I'm looking for tinyInt as well, just like this one. Paste. It will also be a tinyInt, and the default is 1. Cool. So that's great. Let's close that. So everything should be good now. And if I hit save, it should work. So let me hit save. Okay. Now if I click on view, like contact us now, it shouldn't show. Oh, it is showing. So let's go to edit again. It says yes. Okay. So something went wrong here. It didn't save. And if we go back again, yeah, things are not changing here. Let me go back to browse. Let me make sure in the database it's not changing there either. So let's go. Yeah, featured image is 1 still. I want it at 0. So what's going on? Okay, so the reason is we didn't put a name for this guy. So let me copy that. So on the select, we need to have a name. Otherwise, it won't be part of the form. So it's easy to forget these little things. Let me refresh so that it has a name this time, and I say no, and I hit save. Okay, now I'm confident it worked this time. And there we go. We don't see that image anymore. Okay, and if we go back and let's click view on this one, same thing here. If I click edit and then, oh, but why does it say yes here? This is not cool. Here it says yes, which is not right. It should say no. Let me make sure in the database. Yes, there's a 0 there, so it should say no for contact us page. Yep, that's the one. So it should say 0 on this one. So why isn't it? So let's just make sure here. Featured image, if it's a 1, this will be okay, so this is a wrong function. So instead of old value, it should be old select. Sorry about that. Same thing here, because we created several functions to handle this. And there we go. Now it correctly shows that it's on no. Alrighty then. So this is all good now. And now you can create new pages as you wish. The author here isn't showing, right? So let's create a new page. So there's contact us, about us. I don't know what other pages we can add. I don't know. We can say something like our shop. And you don't have to put a slug to auto-generate there. You can put the description for SEO and stuff. And then here our page content. For now, let me just put an image here. Being lazy. Alright, there we go. Our shop. And just the image itself. Let me hit save. Okay, cool. So we have something we can see here. If I click, this is how our shop looks. And surprisingly, the image isn't showing at all. So let's just make sure the image exists. Let me go back to uploads, and the image actually does not exist. So something went wrong there, and we have to figure it out. So let's do that in the next video.